Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he's got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Super Rugby. Once again, I'm joined in studio by former All Black, former Hurricane, former Blue, Piri Weepu. Piri, how was the weekend? Personally, how did the boys, how did the college team go?
They were actually teats on the weekend. Not the performance that we wanted as coaching staff, but we're just hoping that they sort of understand that prep is a huge thing. We were lucky enough that Brad Shields came in yesterday and spoke to the boys about it. So, yeah, it wasn't a easy day at the office. They did get it right in the second half, but it was a bit too late.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like the Roosters Warriors, but yeah, we'll leave that for another podcast. And speaking of the Warriors, we're joined once again by our good friend Ben Searle of Searley Talk Sports. And yeah, not in your usual studio this time, Searley. We're in the world as Carmen San Diego.
Yeah, I've shot over early to get amongst the pre-Magic Round festivities over here in Brisbane, but I'm actually in the Gold Coast at the moment, heading to Brizzy on Saturday morning once the Warriors arrive to go and do some content stuff for them. So, yeah, looking forward to a big weekend when the Warriors beat the Panthers. You know, no one expects it, backs against the wall, but like you said, there's a league podcast where you can hear those types of tips, so tune in for that one.
Exactly. What about the footy? Personally, how did that go last weekend?
Yeah, we got the dub by 1 point. She was a tight one. We were up by 13 with about 5 minutes to go. The boys put the whole queue in the rack and we almost paid the price there. The Chahoos were through the roof, and then we almost went really quiet and had the ultimate egg on our face. But yeah, we got the win. Double denim night was a good night as expected. And yes, still paying the price for that one, but I'm hoping some of this Aussie air can do good for the hangover.
Oh, a bit of sunshine always does good for a wee bit of a hangover. So I'm sure you'll be fine in a day or two. Look, last week we started sort of helping Scotty Robertson out with his All Black selections, and we went through the candidates for first 5-8. This week, let's have a look at the open side flanker with the news that Sam Cane, is he retiring? Is he not retiring? Retiring as captain. Is that the deal, Searley?
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because, yeah, obviously he's retired as captain. Well, I think Razor told him he's not going to be captain. So that's one way to do it, right, is to go out on your own sword. He's been a heck of a leader and a heck of a player for us, but you know, he's been out of sight, out of mind for the last few months. And as a result, a lot of these guys playing in Super Rugby have really stepped up and stamped their claim on the jersey. So I think we're all interested to see what direction Razor would go in the first place. But Sam retiring from international footy at the end of this year throws another spanner in the works, because now Razor's faced with that problem. Do you go early and just start building for that next World Cup cycle? Or do you give one of the great All Blacks and All Black captains a chance to go out on his own terms? So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays it.
Pity, if you have a look at the number 7 jersey, there are a number of candidates throughout Super Rugby who you could, I guess, say would probably fit into the black jersey quite easily. If you start with the Hurricanes, I mean, do they have a number 7 at the moment? Because there seems to be quite a bit of a, not rotation, but there are a number of players that get the opportunity. Duplessis, Karifi, Peter Larkai has been in the 7 jersey. So in terms of the Hurricanes, who do you think is the one that's putting their hand up most of all for that black number 7 jersey?
Oh, like you said, it's a pretty tough one, because when Dupes comes off the bench, he's a menace. He's been in that environment before, where he's been in camp and been there to learn and cover when his opportunity, if it did come, he'll be able to jump in that role. But even with Pete, obviously there's that utility thrown around with him where he can play all three positions as a loose forwards. But he's been pretty solid over the ball. I guess, understanding the role as a seven and fetching a ball, you need to make sure that that's what you do. That's your role. Try and get as many turnovers as possible. If not, you're there disrupting and slowing the ball down so your defence can sort of get set and you can smash them behind the advantage line. But yeah, I'd probably say, it's a tough one because you can't take away what Dukes has done for the Canes in that seven jersey when he gets his opportunities.
Surely it was always going to be tough after Richie McCaw retired for someone to step into not just the number 7 jersey, but also the captain's role in the All Blacks. So Sam Cane was probably, it was a tough road for him. But I thought he stood up very, very well, certainly during that the World Cup, where I think he played some of his best rugby. But in terms of other number 7 candidates, is there someone up north that you can point the finger at the moment?
I think when you look around all the Kiwi teams, everyone has a good 7, and that's something that New Zealand's done so well, isn't it? Is we've always had good flankers. Like even someone like Billy Harmon has been chucking his hat in the ring. You got Dalton Papali'i. Then my favourite, Luke Jacobson's going well as well, coming back from injury. But I think my favourite would be to play Artie in the 7 jersey. And then you can unleash Hoskins in the 8 jersey, because I think his form at the moment through Super Rugby has warranted wearing that 8 jersey. Gives us a bit of size as well. And I still think that's possibly where Artie could play his best footy, which is crazy to say because he's probably the best number 8 in the world. But I think he'd be the best number 7 in the world too. So I don't think Razor, while he's got plenty of options, they're all positive ones for me.
Yeah, it does seem like an open field. Artie is obviously the number 1 select if you decide to go with him in the number 7 jersey, where of course you could just as easily go number 8 and at a pinch number 6. Such as the versatility and the skill level of Artie Savea. So this looks like one of the wide open. If he's not considering Artie as a number 7, then this looks like one of the most wide open, I guess, positions in terms of All Black selection for that first test against England, which is not too far away and less than 2 months away. Right. Another thing that sort of popped up over the weekend was the big crowd at Eden Park. And I'm guessing in some ways it was due to the fact that it was an afternoon kickoff, which we don't get to see very often these days in Super Rugby. Should there be more afternoon kickoffs early?
Yeah, I think so. I actually think the perfect outcome for me would be a Sunday afternoon, because I really wanted to go to this game, but my game was on at the same time. And I'm sure there were Auckland clubs and first 15s all around Auckland that really wanted to be there as well. But when you have a 3 o'clock kickoff for your game, you're going to make it for the back end of the second half. It just doesn't work. So I think there was potential to possibly have 35,000 there if that was on a Sunday afternoon, because it's still very family friendly. There's less on as well. It's easier to get to. And then you could get those club and first 15 players there. I think it was straight out of COVID. There was a Sunday Arvo game between the Blues and the Canes, and it was almost sold out. Obviously, we were deprived of live sport at the time, but I still think that Sunday Arvo time slot has real potential. And I'm not too sure why Super Rugby got rid of it this year, because Sunday afternoon now you find yourself twiddling your thumbs. NRL's on, but you still want to watch some Super Rugby too. So yeah, I love Arvo footy. I'm all for it. It adds to the spectacle and the atmosphere, but maybe Sunday Arvo could be that sweet spot.
Petty, did you play much afternoon footy in Super Rugby in a Super Rugby sense?
Most of it was done in South Africa and Australia, not so much here. I'm with Celia on that one. Like a Sunday afternoon would be perfect, purely because there's obviously first 15 in club that want to be in the environment and still, because when you've got a top of the table clash, you want to be able to see the full game, and I mean, it didn't disappoint. The game was probably one of the highlights of the weekend. But I mean, the atmosphere, like just the camera would pan into the grandstand. It was awesome to see.
It's been a while since we've seen that number of people at Eden Park, and it does make a huge difference in terms of atmosphere. And I think the players sort of thrive off that as well, and they produced a game worthy of a Super Rugby final. I'm not getting ahead of myself here. I'm not saying it's going to be a Blues Canes final, but if that sort of rugby was played in the final, I don't think you could get too many disappointed fans in regards to the quality of football. It was very good. Right, let's have a look at last week, round 12. It's all done and dusted, and it started with the Chiefs taking on Moana Pacifica, and Pity. It was pretty much as expected. Chiefs 43-7 over Moana.
Yeah, I think it was just opportunity for them to keep growing, getting those combinations right, and keep pushing for playoffs and making sure that they don't have to travel as well. That's the hardest part, is having to travel when it comes to the quarters and things like that. So trying to cement a home quarter and potentially a semi. Everyone will be making sure that happens rather than sort of taking it easy against a team like Moana. You want to make sure you still put your best boys on the field, just to give yourselves a better outcome later on down the track.
Shirley, the Moana sort of put up a fight for that first sort of 20 minutes, holding the Chiefs out, and then I guess it's the game transpired as we sort of expected.
Yeah, I was actually at this game, and I was really surprised with the first 30 minutes that Moana put up, because it was physical, man. They were up for this game. And at the same time, pre-game, a few of their players were talking about how they'd rested bodies to target the Hurricanes this weekend, which I thought was an interesting tactic from them. But yeah, it was a physical game. In the end, the Chiefs came over the top of them. I think a lot of it came down to fatigue and just depth of squad. Like Moana, when they decide to rest 10 or 12 of their frontline players, that squad can get a little shallow there. And I think we saw that towards the back end of that game. But to be fair, I expected more points. So well done in the way to Moana.
The second game of round 12 was the Reds taking on the Reds squeaked home in the end, 26-22. We'll move on to the big game of round 12, though. Blues 31, Hurricanes 27. Surly, what could you take out of that game in terms of the chances of both teams heading as we head into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think we can pretty safely say that one of these two teams is going to be in the final, because for me, by far, these are the best two teams in the competition at the moment. When they get the conditions to play exciting footy, they've both got stacked squads who, despite having injuries, the teams they still rolled out and the quality of the football that they played was exceptional. So both teams are definitely title threats, and it won't be the last time that these two teams play each other. I was really impressed with both teams. I thought the Blues were really strong. Harry Plummer again put his hand up for me. Guys like Bryce Heem, who just continue to be the unsung heroes of these sides as well. But I thought both teams played how we expected them to play, and that this game really delivered on the hype. And so often you head into these top-of-the-table clashes wanting a great fixture, and it gets taken away from you, whether it's teams not performing to their ability or referees or anything like that. But I thought this one ticked every box, and it was the perfect advertisement for Super Rugby. And I see the TV viewership numbers are stronger than they've ever been. So despite some people out there thinking that rugby is struggling, this was a great advertisement for the product that we have at the moment. And it's cool to see people tuning in, because the quality of football was unreal.
It was a game that no team had a significant lead at any time during the game. It was very much attack, and then the opposition, it just kept going back and forth. There was no I don't think any team at any stage during the match could relax and say, "Oh, we've got a big enough lead now to just sort of shut up shop." It was a game that produced some very, very good tries, Pity. You still happy with the way the Canes are going?
Yeah, 100%. You know, one of the top teams in defence. They've put 27 points on them, considering, you know, every other team have only collectively, you know, scored less than 10 points on them, or some, on average. So, you know, for them to go up there and push them, and obviously show that there are weaknesses in the defence of the Blues. But I think, like Shirley said, it was just good to watch. Like, it was good quality football. We talked about the matchups across the board, and it didn't disappoint. You know, and not only that, you know, you talked about the tit for tat. You know, one team will score, and then the other team will basically be like, "All right, you've had your chance to take a point away. It's our turn now." And I'll tell you what, the 2 try saving tackles were huge. Those definitely, you know, if those tries actually happened, I think it might have been a different story in terms of the way the outcome would have been. Because to stop a team that was pretty much over the line and score, Caleb Clark had to come from about 30 metres. He worked because he was on the inside there. They obviously threw that long ball, and for him to get to that spot and catch Morby on the corner there and stop him from scoring a try was huge. And you always talk about key moments in a game or momentum shifts. That was definitely one that gave momentum to the Blues. So it was an awesome game to watch. And yeah, I wish I was there to actually be involved in the atmosphere, because it looked amazing. It was actually good to see the stadium being packed out like that.
There was a few, I guess, disruptive elements before the game, with a few changes for the Hurricanes just prior, with Billy Proctor out. I think in the front row, Lomax was out as well. So I guess their ability to just regroup under short notice like that still gives you a lot of confidence that this team is very much on the same page. I don't know what Laidlaw has done, but he certainly seems to be. He has the ability to get all of these boys singing off the same hymn sheet, regardless of the sort of things that go on behind the scenes. So there are plenty of positives to take out for both teams. Blues, I think in the end, probably deserved the win. As you say, there were key moments in that match, and certainly that cover tackle was just insane. Morby's been one of the best finishers in Super Rugby this season, and for Caleb Clark to get across there and deny him that try was just huge. And there are moments in a game that turn it, and that was one of them.
Oh, definitely. I think that would be one that Vern Cotter would be showing to the team this week, because it really just sums up their defensive attitude this year as well. Like, there's no cheap points when you're playing the Blues this year. You've really got to earn them. And I think Caleb Clark, like, he's a player as well that was spoke about a lot at the back end of last year. Should he have gone to the Rugby World Cup, things like that. I think his Super Rugby campaign has been massive, whether he's been starting or a couple games off the bench where he's come on and turned the game as well. I think it was against the Rebels where he came on or the Reds, sorry, where he came on and won them the game, basically. So well done to Caleb. And yeah, a great win for the Blues. But yeah, I want to see this game again. I really do.
Next, and it was another New Zealand derby the next game, and it didn't disappoint either. Highlanders 32, Crusaders 29. The Crusaders are now in a wee bit of strife. Look, they can still make the crazy nature of Super Rugby. They can still make the playoffs at the Crusaders. They're only one win outside 8th place. So they've got a tough road in their last 3 games, but they can still do it. But in terms of this game down, and you could see the joy on the Highlanders' faces, because this is the first New Zealand team they've beaten in Super Rugby for a number of years now, Surly.
Yeah, it was massive for them, wasn't it? And it's probably the one New Zealand team they want to beat the most. We spoke last week about little brother up against big brother, that type of mindset. Well, little brother came to play, and Cam Miller, take a bow. I haven't seen a lot of this kid play, but geez, he's an exciting footballer, isn't he? He was perfect off the tee, scored 27 of their 32 points, and he had himself a day. This was another great game to watch. After watching that Blues Canes game, you think, how can things get any better? And it wasn't a better game, but geez, it was still a really good watch. So it was a great day for New Zealand rugby. I see they had about 19,000 down there at the Sistema lunchbox as well. So when you combine those two crowds, yeah, what a turnout for these two games. And no doubt the zoo would have been humming, man. Dunedin would have gone off, because that's a massive win for the Landers. Like, they're now in seventh. 3 weeks ago, they were on a 5 or 6 game losing streak, and we were saying season over. So full credit to this team as well. They've had some injuries. The old Prince of Wales bowed out in the 10 jersey. This is a young team, but they've obviously stuck tight together, and they believe in what they're doing. And as a result, they're going to play finals footy, which is pretty cool.
So we've got the Sistema lunchbox down south, Pity, and we've got the Tinny House here in Wellington. I'm very interested to see what happens with the next stadium that pops up. But the Highlanders, that was a game that in years gone by, the Crusaders would have got over the top of the Highlanders in the end. But they toughed it out, the Highlanders, and the Crusaders are now, well, they've got to, if they don't win out, they probably have to rely on a result or two going their way for them to make it into the playoffs. Hopefully, for Crusader fans, they can do it. I guess they're not that far away. They're just, I guess, once again, moments in each game that just go against them when usually it would be the other way. They would have things go their way as opposed to the opposition. So can you still make a case for the Crusaders making the playoffs?
Oh, I guess their run isn't easy at all. So they'll probably need a few teams to do their part, and they need to make sure that they get the job done as well at the same time. So I guess it's a tough one. I mean, I actually thought that the Landers were hard done by on one of the tries that got given to them. But I mean, you know, if that didn't happen, I think the game would have been blown out and it would have been totally different in that respect. But I'm not sold on the not the Landers, the Crusaders getting through. I know that Shirley definitely shut up shop with them 2 weeks ago, and then 3 weeks ago, and then they pulled that one out the hat.
Yeah.
he was back on the bus again. It's like,
Oh, mate.
hang on a minute, and then they disappointed the following week. So,
Yeah.
but you know, obviously, they'll go into that dreaded place in Australia next. Yeah. And no one really likes going there. We've talked about that, but you know, that's definitely one that they need to try and, you know, a scalp that they need to try and get, and hope that the Drua don't win the next 3 games. But I'm saying no.
Well, the Crusaders should feel right at home in Canberra.
Careful.
You told me that Canberra is like the Christchurch of Australia, so
Careful.
they should be all right over there. Look, they've got a tougher, as you say, they've got to travel to Canberra to take on the Brumbies this weekend. Then they got the Blues, and they finish off with Moana Pacifica. So, look, if you look at it right now, you'd think they'd pick up a win against Moana Pacifica. So they would still need a result or two to go their way. And if they win all 3, they make it. If they win 2, I think they definitely need probably one game to go their way. It's going to be fascinating. It's not often we talk about will the Crusaders sneak into the playoffs. It's usually will the Highlanders sneak into the playoffs? And with that win last week, they've done themselves a huge favour, the Highlanders, and put just more pressure on the Crusaders. Last two games of round 12, the Brumbies got over the top of the Tars 21-29, and the Force completely dominant over the Drua 48-10. And perhaps the Drua were doing a bit in Moana Pacifica. Looking forward to this week and the big game that they've got, against the Reds over there. So why don't we start with round 13 and the game that kicks the round off, the Canes at home over Moana Pacifica. Well, Shirley, you just gave us the all that Moana were setting themselves for this game. So do we see an upset here? Because I give you the tip, the bookies do not see an upset in any shape or form. It's all about the Hurricanes. It's very tough to, I guess, back them head to head unless you're throwing them in a multi. But I don't know, when you've got a team at $1.01 or a $1.02. In fact, the Canes are now $1.01. Moana Pacifica $13. 33.5 point favourites, the Hurricanes, and the game total is set at 65.5. Can you see an upset here, Shirley?
Nah, I think Moana pulled this one off a couple years ago, didn't they, against the Canes? And maybe they've still got visions of that being able to repeat. But yeah, the Canes off the back of a loss. I'm sure they'll rest a few bodies and take the opportunity to give some guys a crack, but they'll still be too good. They've shown this year their squad's too stacked. Like, their back line for their Bees team has many players that other Super Rugby teams would love to get their hands on. So yeah, I'm thinking the Canes, and the Canes do it well. But yeah, full credit to Moana for the optimism for this one. And if they can pull it off, then I'll be happy to look like an idiot because I'd love to see them do it. I just think a trip to the Tinny House is going to be too far for them.
Billy, the Canes should be too good. The teams haven't been named yet, but one player who's been scoring tries, TJ Perenara, picked up another one against the Blues last week. Without knowing the makeup of the side, is there a try scorer there that you could point out for punters?
Yeah, the bus.
What?
The bus gets his opportunity to be selected. He needs to climb up that ladder and make sure that he gets a double to chase his mate. So if I'm backing anyone, I'm hoping the bus is good to go for the weekend, and he can get a double to help everyone out.
You reckon chuck him at halfback and he can just pick and go close to the line? He'd be bloody hard to stop.
I reckon.
He's probably scored more tries than most of the Hurricanes at the Tinny House. So, yeah, he knows the way to the try line there. I'd be interested to see what price he's paid to be an anytime try scorer. But, yes, I'm sure that they will select Julian for the big game on Friday night. But yes, very, very hard to see Moana Pacifica upset the Canes, even though they have done it in previous seasons.
Wow. The Buff does have a chip on the shoulder when it comes to playing against the Canes at the moment after what's happened. So I'm pretty sure he'll definitely be fired up for this game.
Next game, it's another one-sided affair. The Rebels hosting the Chiefs. Rebels $4.80. Chiefs $1.16. They're 15.5 point underdogs, the Rebels, and the game total set at 62.5. Surly, do you see the Chiefs cementing their place in the top four with a win here, or can the Rebels give them a wee bit of a test?
I think the Chiefs will get it done. I believe Damian McKenzie will be back after that 12 days. I think this falls in line for him to be able to play. So if he does play, then that will be massive for them. I know Sean Stevenson's back, so that will give them a boost. And a lot of their frontline players got the opportunity to rest last weekend. The Chiefs are in an interesting position because they're 7 points ahead of the Reds in fifth. So you wouldn't think that they'll drop down to fifth. So it's now who they really want to play in those quarters and semi-finals. Like, they can pick between the Blues and the Hurricanes in terms of who they want to play in a semi. You don't want to get too creative because losing games on purpose and things like that can really come back to bite you. But I'll be interested to know in the Chiefs camp who they'd like to take on and where they'd like to go in that semi-final. Looks like they're going to avoid a trip to Canberra in the quarters, which is what you want to do the most. But yeah, I'll be backing the Chiefs to win this game. I think they'll finish with a bit of a flurry and be too strong. But same time, Rebels at home, I don't know, 15 points. That's quite generous, isn't it?
Yeah, they've certainly showed that they've come to play. I guess the players are playing for their survival in a sense. I'm not sure it's going to be enough, but they have turned it on this season, and at home they've been very, very tough, Pity.
Yeah, I think they even pushed last week against the Reds. So I have a feeling, they could potentially, if they get the W this weekend, they could be looking at an opportunity to be hosting a quarter, because the Chiefs obviously are going to be playing the Blues. And so if they don't get two wins out of the next 3 games, there's opportunity for the Rebels to actually cement a home quarter if they end up doing what I think they might do, which is be too difficult for the Chiefs on the weekend. But yeah, even though D-Mac and Sean Stevenson could be back this week, it's Rebels have definitely showed up. I think we definitely thought that they were going to be a bit lower down on the table, but they've proven a lot of people wrong. And I wouldn't say they're playing for their survival. They actually, because all that stuff off the field's happening, I feel like they've actually just started to play footy for the love of it and what they're supposed to be doing. You're very lucky when you do get this opportunity to play footy, but when you get there, you're just playing purely for the love of the game. And you get that opportunity to be paid at the same time. But I feel these boys are just gelling a lot better together this year, and it's proven with some of the stuff that some of the results that they've got this year. So it's not going to be easy for the Chiefs. If I was a Rebels supporter, I'd be backing the boys to at least try and cement the opportunity to host at home in the quarters.
Gee, you guys are sort of talking me into the bloody Rebels. I really do like the Rebels plus, was it 15.5 now? That's a big line for a home team. So yeah, you guys have certainly convinced me that the Rebels are a chance to keep this game at least close against the Chiefs. Next game we'll look at, Canberra, here we come. Brumbies, $1.40. Crusaders, $2.80. The Brumbies are 6.5-point favourites at home, and the game total is set at 55.5. Surly, can you make a case for the Crusaders? Can they keep their season alive?
Well, it's desperation time now, isn't it? If it wasn't already last week, this is literally win or go home, because we spoke before about the draw. They've got 2 of their last 3 games in Fiji against Australian sides who I think they'll really back to pull off. So the Crusaders need some results to go their way, but at the same time, they need to take care of business themselves on their own end. Last week I was convinced with Cody Taylor in that back that they would be too strong. I thought Cody Taylor was really good, but they still couldn't get the job done. This week over in Canberra, maybe they'll just be bored to death. I think the Brumbies are going to beat them. It'll be tight, 1-12. There's a strong rivalry there, but I think the Brumbies at home will just be too good.
Pity the punters haven't given up on the Crusaders. We've taken a wee bit of turnover on the Crusaders at $2.80. Can you see a way for the Crusaders to get up over the top of the Brumbies in Canberra?
It's tough because, well, when they play really well, you think, okay, here they are. They're coming back. But then they sort of fall off. And that's not what we're used to when we're watching them play. We're used to them sort of putting pressure on the opposition, suffocating them right until the final whistle. This season, it's not the same sort of I wouldn't say mentality, but it's definitely not what we're used to seeing from the Crusaders. Going over there and trying to get a result. It's not the favourite place to go to, remember? So I'll probably say no. They're not going to go over there and get a result. It's going to be a tough one.
Okay, Pity, Crusaders, you're gone.
He's not going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
He's finally joined me. I'm being out. Here we go.
The last two, that's the last game that features And New Zealand. Oh no, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say,
geez,
what am I looking
I
at?
forgot about the other derby. Holy hecker! The Blues $1.12. Highlanders $5.50. No respect for the Highlanders this weekend. The Blues 17.5 point favourites, and the game total set at 53.5. Shirley, look, the Blues were very, very good last week. Is it possible they might just take the foot off the pedal this weekend against the Highlanders? Is that something that you could see eventuate?
Blues teams of the past, I might have said that that's a possibility, but I think under Vern Cotter, they're playing like a really consistent brand of footy. They look like a team that just really backs their systems, and you know what you're going to get from them each week, which has been really encouraging. So I think they would have been disappointed to allow 27 points, like what Pity said. Like, you got to factor in the quality of the opposition, but their standards this year have been to keep teams under 20 or 10 even at times. So I'd expect them to really be focusing on that defensive end. At the same time, 17.5 for a team that just beat the Crusaders and the Highlanders is a lot of points too. So I don't mind that plus line in favour of the Highlanders, but I do confidently now back the Blues, believing that we'll see a very similar performance week in and week out, because I think they've developed that consistency in their game that in times in previous years, they were a bit of a roller coaster. They'd look like world beaters one week and then drop their standards the next. I don't expect to see that this week.
Pity. The Blues just continue on their way and take care of business this weekend, or can you make a case for the Highlanders?
No, they just, I believe they should be just continuing on with how they're going. But I mean, 3 rounds to go. You know, I guess they're trying to there could be potential to rest players, just so that they can have them fit and ready to go when it comes to playoff time. But yeah, it's a tough one, because you look at the result on the weekend from the Landers. I know it's not the same Crusaders that we've always seen, but you know, I think they're just going to try and continue on with what they do, keep their selections the same, and hopefully they just roll on.
Righty-ho. I guess it's time for us to look at it's a punting podcast.
Yeah,
we've got to have a look at what's going on.
Did you guys not have the Blues? Well,
I can tell you that, Pity, wasn't pretty for you last week.
no.
You had the Reds 13 and over, Canes 1-12, Landers 1-12. Unfortunately, no. Then you had Braden Yossi to score a try. But I can tell you, of the 3 loose forwards that took the park, that started the game for the Hurricanes, 2 loose forwards scored a try. The one that didn't was Braden Yossi. So you put the stoppers on him, unfortunately for Braden. So no wins for you last week.
I like the confidence that you're back in the positive.
Yeah, there we go. So no wins for you. No wins for you. 2 weeks ago, you were crying, Paulie. Come on, mate.
Yeah. Well, I think I've proven that you're never out it. So Crusaders fans, just keep the faith. You can still make it.
Hey, don't try and steal that slogan. We've already got that with the Warriors.
That's trademark, Paulie. You'll be hearing from our lawyers, mate.
Yeah. I apologise for that. Surly, well. Had a nice little stab here. Blues 1-12, Landers plus 16.5, and Reds head to head, $80 on. And he also had, well, here's Searle. He stopped another try scorer, someone who scored tries 2 weeks in a row. And then he backed Tu'umanga Allen to score a try last week. Unfortunately, Jeff didn't do the business.
That was your fault, Paulie. Don't palm that off to me. That was your hot tip, mate.
So
it was.
Your multi did get up, thankfully, and you picked up just over $230. So now you're only $78.90 in the negatives. So you are slowly clawing your way back up. Pity, of course, he's $293.20 in the positive. So we may get to a stage where all of us are in the positive for the
Oh,
season.
turn it up. Turn it up.
Oh, how did you go?
No good. No, I had the Canes to win by 1-12, and
Oh, you put all your money on that one, didn't you?
if Leo Walker holds on to the ball late in the game, then possibly we get a tick in that column.
Or if Clark didn't.
Or Clark doesn't have
stop
the
that
coach.
try,
Yes,
you
yeah,
know.
it's a game of if and buts. So we've got another 100 to spend this week, guys.
Oh yeah.
And why don't we start with Pity this time?
Oh, what?
What I'm hearing though from Paulie is that he's won one bet and he's winning the comp somehow, and now he's just mega confident.
And I'm pretty sure we pretty much told him which guys to pick.
Yeah, you did. You did.
There's only one person he's been picking the whole time, and then all of a sudden, oh, you should add these two in there. Oh, look, I've got $1,000 now.
Yeah, big dog.
I'm back in the green.
And now he's
Guys.
spraying me for being the only one in the negative. Here we go.
Guys, look, the stats don't lie.
Oh,
The
here we
figures
go.
are all there. The spreadsheet's there. So, look, I'm happy for you guys to pick up a few wins now. Let's come home with a wet sail. Pity, where are you going this week? Plenty of options to get into.
Canes 13 and over.
Ooh.
The Drua 12 and under. The Brumbies 13 and over.
Oh,
And the Blues 12 and under.
geez, you hate Christchurch, eh? You really hate Christchurch.
I tried to tell everyone.
I'll put the kitchen sink on that one. A hundy.
Oh, the whole hunting.
Oh,
No tries this week.
Oh, wow, okay. Surly, where's your money going after a very, very successful weekend last weekend?
so I'm chucking 80 on the Canes 13 plus, and then I've just got the Chiefs, Brumbies, and Blues all head to head. And then for my $20 spin, I'm just going the draw 1 to 12. I'm splitting them up. I'm hoping for a bit of magic and Suva, but I don't trust them enough to chuck them in the multi just yet.
Right, I'm going to go $80 on the Crusaders to win 1 to 12,
Oi.
and then I'm going to have a $20 double, Sevu Reece to score a try, into Alex Talia to score a
Yes.
try.
That's really.
Just stick with the tried and true. We know
Did you
these
say
boys.
Alex Talia?
Yeah, it's Mark Talia's brother. He
Oh,
plays for who does he play for? No, you know why he's doing it. So it's a void bet and he gets his $20 back because he knows it's not going to win.
Oh, I apologise to Mark Talia right now. I'm having Sevu Reece to Mark to Alex Talia.
Right, Mark Talia is so slippery. His name just evades you sometimes. Even he's that good at beating defenders.
Oh,
I mean, if you want me to, I can message Action if you wanted to come back out of retirement.
Mark Talia and Sevu Reece both to score tries. That's my $20 double. Boom, done. Easy peasy. We should have a look at the Super Rugby tipping comp that we've got. And I'm proud to say that I came up the ladder last week. I'm still outside the top 100. Surly, did you manage to stick around the top 20?
32nd, which I'm surprised at because I had a good weekend on the punt. So like I said last week, it's just further proof. If you're good at punting, you're not good at tipping and vice versa. It doesn't really correlate, does it?
Pity?
I've stayed in the
Still
top
on the front
100.
page?
Yeah, top 100.
Where are you?
I'm in 94th.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Oh, there you are. Yes, Pazza, 94th. Well, if we look at the top of the table, keep fighting, punters. There's some bonus bets to give away at the end of the regular season. Sam M. Howie is at the top, and he's getting a wee bit of distance between him and second place. He's on 62 points at the moment. Moose Mahan is on 57.5, and in third place, rounding out the top three, C. Poissy, 69 on 56 points. So you look plenty of, and well done to Kelv, who had the best round last week and is now into sixth place. So yeah, plenty to play for. Get your picks in. Don't miss out like I've done a number of weeks this season.
Enough. You haven't told us that.
Yeah, here we go.
One week, now it's a couple.
That was my excuse, Paulie. What are you on about?
I don't know what happened. I'm sure I put my picks in and somehow like the computer kicked them out or something. So, yeah, I'm really
They were too good,
disappointed.
They were too good. The app denied them.
Yeah, AI. It was AI, I think. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Alan Iverson, even.
Don't forget, we've got same game multis on all the New Zealand games this weekend. Bonus back cash if you fail by one leg, 3 or more legs, same game multi. So, yeah, of course, the mega multi oval ball, get up to $50 bonus cash back per day if you qualify for that mega multi promotion. Shirley, obviously you're not playing footy this weekend. Oh, hold on. Has Webby asked you to take your boots to Brizzy? Because boy, oh boy, they've had a few changes to this, so they've got a number of injuries. It would not surprise me.
Yeah, they're down a few troops, but they're not quite that desperate yet, unfortunately, Paulie. Although I will say I'm happy to go to Rebel Sport and pay 200 of the best if it means I'd get a Warriors debut. I'd do that in a heartbeat. But yeah, not there this week, and we're playing the top of the table North Shore. The boys have been quick to let me know about it. Yeah, I've been getting sprayed left, right, and centre, in particular after a few beers last week. Some true emotions came out from a few of the big fellas, but yeah, missed that one. But then back next week, we've got Takapuna, so a big back-to-back week for Northcote. Paulie's flying up for that one, apparently.
That's Paulie's club.
Yeah, that's Paulie's favourite. They know it too. They're all on board.
Pity, what about your boys?
No, I got the weekend off. I wouldn't say weekend off. They've got training on Saturday morning. We've got our first traditional game next week, and it's the first round of the competition for the boys on Wednesday. So it's it'll be a big game for the boys. So we're just slowly chipping away and prepping towards that. And I just want to say, how can you miss the picks when I get emails to tell me that don't forget to make your picks?
He's lying.
I've been very, very busy a number of weeks, so and I did get those emails as well. But I must remember to do that.
Oh, is that when you're at the golf course?
Okay.
Yeah.
That is. I hardly ever get out on the golf course these days, Pity, as you know. I'm too busy supporting Takapuna.
There we go.
So yeah. Anyway, good luck, if you're going to have a wee bit of an investment this weekend on Super Rugby, and join us next week when we'll be back with another episode of Pick and Go.